Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. It's Monday as you're seeing this video. We're coming out with this on Sunday night, getting ahead of some of these player props and bets here that we have for you. We got best bets in this video. Also have the player props video up for you as we do each and every weekday. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along all season with us. Also head to thelines.com and check out all of the content we're putting up on the site. NBA and March Madness currently live all over thelines.com. We also have that prop finder tool for you to make sure that you can get the best odds available to you for all these bets that you want to make in the NBA and the like this season. Nice little 5-3 day on the night there on Friday, Nate. 2-2 in the best bets, but we are looking to go at least a 3-1 here. I think we got on this little 6-game slate.
Yeah, and happy legalized betting to North Carolina residents, which I just realized I am now going against your state. If you want to follow that and bet against the Charlotte Hornets. We're talking Detroit basketball and the Pistons to cover -3.5 at home against the Hornets, who are playing their third game in 4 nights and actually their 8th road game since the All-Star break. Got to be a little exhausting. They are now down Trey Mann. Grant Williams has turned into a pumpkin. And the offense is the second worst in the league right now. Technically, I mean, maybe even a little bit worse on the road, where they're -12 net. And most importantly, I think, worst rebounding rate in the league when you face a team like Detroit, which is like one of the few things they do really well, mainly Jalen Duren and the other beef stew that they can throw at you there. They in this nice little stretch here for them, which is to say 3 games, they've out rebounded their opponents by an average of 20, and the game got away from them because, of course, Luka carved them up last time because Duren got ejected as well, but they had covered in 2 previous, beating the Nets. These teams only seem to be able to win against the Nets, who are, a whole different story. But the Hornets are coming off a win against the Nets, and there is this random trend where teams do much worse after playing the Brooklyn Nets immediately. So at least Detroit has a little bit of a buffer here. But more tangible stuff is that Cade Cunningham is really playing like an all-star since the all-star break. I mean, you take out his one blip against Orlando, which is a defense that can shut him down, and he's averaging 28-8 with a 126 offensive rating since the little rest here. He actually struggled in game 2 of the season against Charlotte, and the Pistons still won by 12, and then they got them again in January when LaMelo Ball was still playing, and no Cade Cunningham in that game. So the matchup is kind of favorable because when you look down low, I'm not buying into, Davis Bertans having a sudden resurgence. He remains one of the easiest cooks on defense, and with him contributing in that win over the Nets, they still gave up 16 offensive rebounds, 56 paint points. Charlotte's just too vulnerable down low, I think, to hang on the road here.
Yeah, I'm with it. At home anyway, I think it's a good spot for this Pistons team to kind of keep it going. I'd almost rather attack some of the numbers. It's a low total as well, but I think there's some props that we can attack as well in this one as a result. But I think 3.5 is a small enough spread here where there's just not much that you feel good about Charlotte doing on a consistent basis, unless they are playing the Brooklyn Nets, who beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are without pretty much everybody on their squad on Sunday. So we'll see about that. But I am going to look at that Cleveland squad and start with an under. I know we're both fading this team in a way, but I'm loving the under of their team total, which is just too high. And to be honest, against this Phoenix Suns defense at 112.5, it might be too high if they had, their full lineup of guys, although obviously Donovan Mitchell makes a massive difference. My first thought was like under in this game. It opened about 226.5. And I've been targeting some unders for Phoenix as of late, as they haven't had Booker. And it's been just as much about their defense improving as it has their offense waning without D-Book. But more importantly, now that Booker is probable to play and we're likely going to see him back after a few missed games, this is more about just Cleveland being absolutely awful on offense without Donovan Mitchell, which is what we've known since before they had Donovan Mitchell. It's why they got Donovan Mitchell, right? And now they're right back to it, where if you look at the 47 games he's played this season, a 115.7 points per game, and shooting the ball at 48.5% field goal percentage from the floor as a team in the games without him. Now that we've seen 16 of them, 108.9 points per game, 46.1% from the field. And it's really about the inability to get any easy shots as well, to be honest with you. The one time that we saw them have an over in their last five, and all five of these last five have been without Donovan Mitchell, they scored 113 versus Minnesota. Uh, which is a little bit surprising, as we all thought. They also almost got there against Boston because Dean Wade turned into like Reggie Miller or whatever. But more importantly, in this under that they had versus the Timberwolves here, Jared Allen turned into Hakeem Olajuwon. He went for 33 points and 18 boards, best game of his career far and away. And that's what it took to barely get over this 112.5. Phoenix now with their D coming in, it's been really, really good over their last five, eighth best defensive rating, sixth best defensive field goal percentage once you get to the rim. And there's really not much in the way. I mean, if Sam Merrill's not going to just shoot lights out, and Dean Wade, same concept. If they don't just really go well above their pay grade, all you got to do is stop Darius Garland and Jared Allen, and you're going to be good to go. So if you're good around the rim and you can defend that 3-point line and keep this Cavs team from getting to the free throw line as well, good to go. Third best in terms of limiting their free throw attempt rate of their opponent right now are the Suns, and they are seventh best in terms of their transition defense efficiency in terms of points per game, or points per possession, I should say. That's their seventh best in terms of limiting the other team there. They have picked up the pace a smidge, which really doesn't matter when you play Cleveland. They're going to play slowly no matter what, especially without Donnie Mitchell. They're down to basically the fifth slowest team in the league over their last 5 to 10 games. The Suns, they got sped up a little bit in their last five, but really, they're 99.3, 99-ish. The pace on the season is what you can continue to expect, especially when you get D Book back in. Like, they might be efficient and way more efficient on offense with Booker in there, but that doesn't mean that they necessarily speed things up. He's just as good. He's a half court player, right? He's not really the one getting them out into transition. Guys like Josh Okogie, who sometimes play, and get those points off of turnovers, not going to be available in this one either. Neither is Eric Gordon, who you rely on for that 3-point shooting off of those two stars between Booker and KD, and even Beal, but Beal's been slightly less of a facilitator. So I think all of this just lends towards leads to me to go probably under for the game, but the Suns could score like a $118 against this woeful Cavs team right now, who wouldn't be surprised if they don't score 105 points in this one.
Yeah, so we're basically saying the same thing when I say I'll take Suns money line, which has, as we were researching this, flipped from Definitely. +1.5 to -1.5, and we'll probably continue climbing. You might be like -3.5 by the time this airs tomorrow, which is to say, like, maybe that's when you just go with the Cleveland under if that's kind of hanging steady, because the total is probably going to be around that with Book coming back, right? I don't think it's going to necessarily go down. Right. But I mean, you gotta like the Suns to win if they can hold a team under 110. With their big three intact. I mean, their offensive rating has been through the roof, and the Cavs missing Evan Mobley and Max Strus on top of Donnie. Like, I think Strus is as much of a key here. I mean, at least in like the nitty gritty of it, just like where are the points going to come from? And you mentioned that Minnesota game, they had 36 free throws to be able to win that game, on top of the fact that Jared Allen went off. And then just a random thing I overheard in the Cavs broadcast just now is they just said, "Isn't Jared Allen the best two-way center in the league?" And the collar guy was like, "Absolutely." And I think they just forgot about like 10 people who are playing basketball right now. But in any case, he's on back-to-backs. He plays a lot less. He plays a lot less effectively. Jared Allen, 14.5 and 8 rebounds. He is a -6.2. compared to a +9 on normal one-day rest. The Cavs have actually lost 3 straight on back-to-backs, 5 of 7, and the only wins they've gotten are, there's those Brooklyn Nets again, and the Memphis Grizzlies, and of course they're coming off a bad loss to the Nets, and once again, that Nets factor, that might come into play here, where you play even worse, even though it is a loss here. But yeah, I mean, Dean Wade ain't sneaking up on anybody right now. There's just not much offense, and the Suns have taken advantage of these kind of opportunities. 15-8 against the East, 1/5 of the last 6 against the East with Devin Booker, and they're 10-5 with the rest advantage. And they get 2 days after this to cool off before they get a rematch at Boston, right? So it's not like a spot where they're going to worry about their legs necessarily. I think they're going to go in and get that dub.
Yeah, this is just mispriced, honestly. Even when it was, now that it's -1.5 for the Suns, it was mispriced at +1.5. I would say even if it does get to 3.5, it wouldn't surprise me if it goes to 4.5. Like it just came out incorrectly. Maybe there was a lack of info around Donnie Mitchell, who's doubtful, and maybe he surprises us all and plays, but that is not what I'm expecting. I do want to throw out there that like while I'm about to tell you why I like an over in the Toronto and Denver game at 225.5. I also just want to throw it out there that the Dallas. I don't think Dallas deserves to be favored against Chicago, who, by the way, just came off of like 3 incredible wins. Well, I'm sorry, they blew that one on Sunday to the Clips on Sunday morning as they were up double digits at halftime, and screwed me out of a +9.5 bet. No matter, that was Saturday rather, but either way, before that, still looked really good on the road. Now they come home, and that was probably mispriced. I think that's going to go down too. So if you get to it early while you're watching this, in terms of that Chicago Dallas line, I like Chicago as underdogs at home for sure. But sticking to this one as well, just to add that little bonus pick in there, the Toronto Denver over. I mean, I'm if you want to do 120.5 over on Denver's team total, it's kind of the bet I'm making anyway, to be honest with you. Like Denver could probably score 130. It's likely to score around that amount of points, honestly, after coming off their 142 output versus Denver. In that game, I tried to target maybe like a Utah Jazz under because this Denver defense has been so good at home. But really, it's like once you get up to like a $130, are you really trying on defense very much? And that's why we saw the Jazz score 121. And that's what led me to just have zero fear taking the total for this whole game at 225.5. Toronto, as we've talked about in the past, since the trade, it's really actually stark how much different it got for them on the road versus at home. Now, before the trade, when they had OG and everybody, they were still pretty much even in terms of how badly they were playing at home versus on the road. Now, when they get on the road, it's like they don't even have a single lick of defense to throw at you, playing at a very high pace, allowing 125 a game in their last 10 roadies, dating back to the end of January, scoring a buck 18, right? 118.3 points per game in that time frame, which to be honest is really just because their pace has been so fast. It's been up at about 99.3 and second fastest overall in their last 10, wherever they're playing. So while they were playing a little bit more slowly at home, now that's kind of caught up and they're playing just as fast as they are on the road. But in their last 5 on the road, we're talking about 102.5 pace for them as well. So they're just going to keep going. Maybe they won't score very efficiently, but they're going to have a lot of possessions. And that's just going to give Denver even more opportunity in transition as well. In their last 10 overall, regardless of where they're playing, 25th in defensive rating, they do have the 15th best offensive rating. So, I mean, they if, guys like Quickly or Gary Trent get hot, then they have the opportunity to score. And a couple guys might come back, like Bruce Brown, who I could see wanting to get into a little revenge game, if you will, even though he chose to leave. And also, RJ Barrett is questionable. Back could play as well. Same with Chris Boucher, who is just a great guy to have around for not playing defense and playing pretty and spreading out the offense with a tall guy who can shoot. Trying to pull Jokic from the basket, which is usually the tactic that you're going to see if you have a tall, versatile center and you're playing Jokic. It's like, let's just try to tire him out, I guess. Doesn't work, but they'll try it. And Denver in their last 5, they've been scoring a bunch, but despite having the 3rd hardest schedule in the league, and that includes playing Utah, right? And they still have had the hardest schedule in the league pretty much with that bad Utah team that just came to town. They've got the 3rd best effective field goal percentage, 2nd best paint field goal percentage, 1st in mid-range field goal percentage. So it's a testament to how they're just getting what they want where they want it. And at times, Jokic's mid-range, it's pretty much unstoppable because of it's a 7'1" dude shooting like your dad does at the gym, all the way behind his head. You're not blocking that. Plus, that baby hook is a huge reason for why they're so good in the paint in the non-restricted area, right? So the thing too is like if the blowout does inevitably probably happen the way that Toronto has lost multiple games on the road by 25 or more in their last 10. Can't make that stuff up. If that does happen, Denver's bench coming in against Toronto's bench, we saw it against Utah. Guys like Peyton Watson would be a rotation player on almost probably every team in the league. He's a future all defensive player. Love that dude to come in and still be good. And obviously Christian Brown, even Arjax. You've got a veteran point guard who's coming in and getting garbage time minutes for this Denver team in games like the one we just saw against Utah versus that Toronto bench, which has the 22nd in defensive rating. They're still playing fast as well. Like there's nobody on the starting. They're depleted in the starting lineup. So of course their bench is also depleted there for the Raps. So I'm not even worried about when that happens for the overhitting here.
Yeah, here's the thing with Toronto that you have to bookmark for the rest of the year is their pick is owned by the Spurs, is top
Right.
6 protected, and they're in 7th. They have the 7th worst record right now, one game ahead or behind the Grizzlies in terms of tanking. So we probably won't see Scotty Barnes like much at all, or at all the rest of the season, which is it really got to stab some people in the heart if he's the centerpiece of their he was looking like one of the best fantasy picks in the league in the first month, and now he's just on ice. And yeah, Toronto should have no interest in winning games down the stretch. They should in fact be trying to lose them, and they're holding people out. And Denver will run right over them, score plenty of points.
Definitely. And don't forget Pirtle's not playing again either. So that is all the time we have for you in the best bets, though. Continue to follow along, subscribe to the page so you can check out the player props that we have as well. 3-1 on those on Friday. We'll look to stay hot as we normally do here with these player props. So until we see you then, happy betting.